Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On what ones? We're live on Facebook. We're live on
Instagram.
I could do a live
That's
TikTok
great.
live.
Oh, you could do a TikTok. You can do
Yeah.
it on TikTok.
Anybody on TikTok?
And we may as well go live on TikTok also.
And we're sorry to our LinkedIn friends because LinkedIn's weird with the live. We're gonna get that set up next
You
time.
have to
right?
get special permission from LinkedIn to go live on their platform. So we will get that so the next time we can be going live on LinkedIn for all of our LinkedIn followers. Okay. And I think we're good with the microphones.
I'm just
We just got the notification.
Wow.
Going live.
Guys, we can't start until I have my Sodalicious. Where is it?
I need a straw.
Just Rachel, not you.
Actually, though.
It's just right here. I can reach it.
Rachel, come on. Where's my Sodalicious? Thank you. Gosh.
Weston doesn't pay me, so that's why he can boss me around. Just kidding.
Rachel, I'm so sorry. That was just a joke. Oh my gosh. Okay.
dun, 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 dun.
Now we can begin. Whew.
Whew, good. Let's go.
Oh man. Everyone
Quenched.
has have their drink.
Yes.
Boy.
We really swear we're not sponsors. So it's just-
We do like them.
We are not sponsors of the refreshing soda-licious flavor as we drink at every podcast, so.
okay, I think I got that one going.
Okay. Then that means we're ready. Welcome everyone back to the Shadûf podcast. We are unique. This is the first time we're doing recording our podcast and going live at the same time. So, welcome everyone who are joining us live. How's it going? You can see us. We're not used to being recorded to have it, to being on camera.
This is weird. I'm used
It's
to
weird.
just staring at my computer as we talk,
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm like,
it's-
I have to look
No,
up.
yeah,
Hey.
we have to look.
Oh.
Engage our live audience because they want to see us. They want us to make eye contact. Well, great. Well, we have an awesome show planned out. We are going to. Oh, let me introduce everyone. I'm Weston Smith, your host. I'm here with Dustin Harding, head of research, and content specialist Rachel Hansen. And we are excited to be back together again. We've had a little bit of a break, but now we're ready to go. All right? Well, great. Okay, so first off, we want to start doing something where occasionally in our podcast we do kind of like a definition of a term or some sort of a small tidbit that's just like edifying for, to edify and educate us so that we can all hone our awesome business marketing acumen, right?
Yep.
Okay, so today we're going to be talking about something where we're going to be defining some terms for the market. Everyone has heard of demographic, right? Everyone uses the term, what's your market's demographic, right?
Yep.
But there's other graphics. This topic can get a little graphic. There's other graphics and other areas that are defined terms that we're going to talk about today.
Well, I guess as we were saying this morning, there's mostly one other graphic, and then another one that's not even a graphic. It's a completely different one. You can't fit the graphic in the word.
In the word. So it's 3 graphics and 1 black sheep. I don't know. Great.
So these 3 or 4, mostly what you hear about is demographic and psychographic.
I haven't even heard of psychographic.
Yeah, but there's also geographic, and
Okay.
and then the one that's like the odd brother is behavioral. And
Which they should do it like, they should call it like behaviographic or something.
behavior graphic.
Behaviographic.
Yeah, I like that.
So they
Behavior.
can all fit.
Behaviographic.
So this type of most companies, as you mentioned, Weston, they focus on demographic.
Right.
So when you just have this group of potential customers and you break them into segments or groups, right? And a lot of companies, they use demographic to look into that. So there could be gender, it could be gender, age,
Right.
like I was gonna say something else, but that's not income, things like that.
Right.
And
Race is part of that. Right.
race can be part of
They
that.
have,
Yeah, these different things, and the issue is that you can go off demographic, but you're not really getting very rich data. You're not really segmenting your customers based on something that like more
something that predicts action, right? Something
Yeah.
that,
something with a little more teeth to it, right?
right.
It's this is a good one. Let's see if I can. I wish we were set up to show these, but it makes me think of who was it? Dang it! What was that LinkedIn post I saw a little while ago that described the Prince
What was that?
versus? Did I send that to you and Zach?
Do you want to look it up?
I'm gonna look.
While
it
you
up.
look it up, I was just gonna say, Rachel, I don't know how you. I always thought that geographic was part of demographic, like your geographic
Oh, yeah.
location
Yeah.
was, as
Yeah.
business, and I think maybe a lot of business people think that way,
I think for sure, unless
and maybe just a
you're more
simple.
marketing specific. I remember in marketing classes talking about the four separately.
Right.
But a lot of times you can lump them all together and you can't distinguish them.
Right.
They kind of feel the same. But once you dig in, it is like, oh, this data is more helpful and more. It's better than just those easy answers. Age, it's like a bunch of numbers versus descriptors.
Right.
And I think the reason why businesses oftentimes go off of demographics is because it's just easier to grab.
It's
Yep.
yeah.
It's an easy grab. Same with as we the net promoter score. Like
Right.
we've had an
We've
episode
talked
on
about
that.
that.
Like it's an easy grab. We'll just send this one question and voila. Like we have our answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to feel like you're doing something,
Right. And
not to
it
criticize people.
kind of categorizes them, but not as good as psychographics.
Right.
So there was this post going on. This was
is funny.
a couple months ago is when it went wild. But yeah, it's like a perfect reminder about being careful when you're building personas or segments, marketing
Right.
segments, right? So it describes two different. It describes a segment or a persona that you could go after. So this is a male born in 1948, raised in the UK, married twice, lives in a castle, and wealthy and famous, right?
Okay.
So that's like kind of what you're going after.
Oh, this is my persona of my typical
yeah.
demographic,
Yeah.
right?
But then it shows pictures of two people that fit that demographic,
Okay.
and you have Prince Charles and you
Okay.
have Ozzy Osbourne, right? And so they both fit that demographic, but they're very different. They have very different psychology,
That's right.
right?
Yeah. So and it's not like, oh, we're gonna cater our product to this persona, and but those two people aren't going to make the same decisions in
Right.
purchasing decisions, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you could, but they're so different.
Right. Seriously.
So psychographic.
Yeah. What
data.
is psychography?
Yeah.
I don't think we've really defined it.
No. So this is digging when you can grab data that that focuses more on a person's traits or their interests or their values or lifestyle, right?
Right.
That's where you see the difference between Prince Charles and Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
Those are the differences between them. It's not their age, it's not their gender, it's not their income.
Where
It's their values and what really captures their interests, what they really care about.
right.
And that's what if we can grab that as marketers, that helps us a lot.
It's more like what they care about in their mind. Psychographics deals with the mind, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
S-
that makes sense.
and I would even say, so the other one that we kind of mentioned was behavioral, right? And that's
Behaviographic.
breaking behavioral graphic. We're gonna make that a thing, right?
Yeah. Let's get that trending. Let's do a hashtag behaviographic. Hey, what behaviographic are you targeting?
You sound so intelligent.
Sounds so
Silly.
dumb.
So the when it comes so what behavioral graphic. So that's is just what it sounds like. That's capturing or breaking people into groups or personas based on their behavior.
Right.
So this could be their online behavior with your website, or their behavior as they go through the store, like what aisles they go down, or different things like that.
Right.
You're capturing them based on the different things that they do, and for me, behavior can be really really good,
Right.
right? But you still don't often understand the why behind the behavior.
You have to figure it out,
You have
right?
to figure it out, and that leads to psychographic.
Right.
Psychographic is kind of the crown jewel. If you can figure out why people came to you, what interests or values drove them to you or your business, then that's amazing. Then you can create marketing content around those values, around those interests, and have a much easier time targeting these individuals and giving them what they really want.
Yeah.
I think that content becomes valuable. Like if
Yeah.
if you can figure out why they came to you, then you can give them what they want, and then they'll stick around. And it's like, oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, behavior seems like the result of psychographics. It's like it's like
Yes, because they are this, and this, then they do this.
right, they
or
do
act
this,
way.
and you can analyze behavioral, but you're always analyzing it after the fact, right?
Right.
So if you can get to knowing what's happening before, while the decisions are being made in the psychographic, then you can get ahead of the game, right?
It's
The trick is getting the psychographic data.
Yeah.
And I think that's why so many businesses rely on demographic, because
Mhm.
maybe they don't understand exactly how to grab that, right?
Do you have any
That's a little
examples
bit
of how to grab it? Like you gave an example of demographic and behavioral,
Yeah.
like knowing which aisles. Do you
Yeah.
have an example of how to get demographic? Or
Yeah,
how you
so
could use it?
so a lot of times, so there's different. A lot of times it ends up with surveys.
Okay.
It might end up with some qualitative interviews in the beginning,
Mhm.
right? But if you can send a survey to your customers, or maybe you've broken things out as much as you can demographically or behaviorally, right?
Right.
But if you can send a survey out to your customers that measures some of those values, measures what they really care about, and there's different ways to, all kinds of different scales or things that you can use to do that.
Right.
I've used several in the past, but it really that's one of the major ways to try to dive deeper.
Yeah.
Survey does a job.
Right.
Interviews and being able to talk with the people and dive deep. It's takes a little practice to be able to do that, but that's where you can really get that depth. That really helps.
Well, I was thinking, because we have our Shadûf biometric team
Mhm.
here that we do biometric testing, and that's looking at behaviors, right? That's what did Dale refer to, non-conscious indicators, right?
Yep.
Things that people just do automatically. Like, for example, one of the simple examples is looking at a website
Mm-hmm.
and doing eye tracking while someone's looking at a website, because then they're looking, but then what they often do afterwards, we have that behavioral analysis. We kind of look at what they're doing, what behaviors they're making, but then afterwards they do some of that interviewing that you're talking about, and they say, so why did you, when you were looking for this particular item to put in your shopping cart, why did you click on this page?
I was
things
a part
like
of a
that.
study with them, and
Oh, really?
they had me play on an app, and
Okay.
figure out how to do things on the app. And then we put the phone away. And yeah, that's exactly what they did. They asked me questions. Why did you go here? Why did you click this? How come that made sense to you and this didn't? And it was interesting because it was almost easier to just do it instead of have to explain why I
Right.
did it
Yeah,
that
yeah,
way.
yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Because they ask you about it, you're
Yeah.
like in real time. You're like,
I don't
guess.
We don't know. We don't
Yeah.
think about it. Right?
Yeah,
Great,
exactly.
just do it.
And the more detailed behavior data you can have, like the more easily you can ask those type of
Probing
thought-provoking
questions.
those probing questions. So that's why that lab is nice because
Yeah.
not only okay, we saw that you went to added this product to the cart, but it's hey, we saw that your eyes were drawn here, or we saw that your brain seems to kind of your workload, how much you were thinking through a process really amped up in one area. Can you tell us what was going on there?
Yeah.
Right? And so it's
And
really
sometimes
cool.
you don't even know.
No.
Like the stuff will tell you you're thinking that way, but you don't even know why you're thinking that way.
Right.
It's cool too.
That's great. So there you go. There's kind of an explanation of the 4 different sort of what would you call them? Market.
Marketing segments. It's for
Segmentations.
segmentation.
Yeah.
For different ways to segment.
Different ways to segment. So if you guys are looking into that, maybe go a little bit deeper than just your typical demographic, and you might find some interesting results. And we here at the Shadûf podcast, we are often exploring things that I didn't know how they were defined in this sense, but where we do often, we will mainly look at kind of the behavioral and psychographics of when we do our surveys and our tests and things like that. So that's what we do here.
The why drives us.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
It's like, hey, this happened. Why did that happen? And you can really find some really neat things. And it's not really until you understand the why that you're able to help guide behavior.
Right.
Right? If you're trying to help your customers, more easily want to purchase your product or something like that,
Yes.
you can try all kinds of things, and it's going to just be a hit or miss until you understand the why, and then that's when, okay, this is why they want it. Now that we understand that, let's make a plan that can help them kind of fulfill that why.
Right. Okay, so I hope that was edifying, but we have another topic that we're going to cover. This is our main topic of some research that we've done.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. We're kind of just scratching the surface of it, but it's really fun.
It's
and
fun.
Dustin's going to introduce it for us.
So this topic's around service culture. Okay. So for companies, have you heard of service culture before?
Service.
How would you
bit.
kind of
Okay.
describe service culture? Like,
How would you describe that? I
Like,
don't know.
I've just seen some companies that dedicate days or parts of their time to doing service, and this isn't in their workplace.
Okay,
this is
okay.
outside of it. So
That's
I think this is different than what you're saying. But that's
Yeah.
what I thought of when you said that.
So, but you said companies do that.
Yeah, like
Okay.
they have.
But they do it. They promote it outside of their work
Yeah.
workplace,
Yeah.
their workday.
So I think maybe, and is this to employees or to customers or just a random?
To employees, like
To
they
employees,
say,
okay,
yes,
okay.
we're all coming to the food bank on this day at this
Oh
time.
no,
We're
to
doing
give
this,
service
do
to
it.
community or something.
Yes.
Oh,
Not
okay.
inside.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what
So-
I'm saying.
But they do it during business hours,
Yes,
and it's kind of
yes,
okay, cool,
yeah.
yeah.
And that I think that's really good. We kind of call that like corporate social responsibility.
Okay,
Like that,
yep,
like you
yep.
could have your CSR
Mm.
kind of plan, and sometimes those people, those are kind of fun. And then so people, it can be a hit. That's one thing that's
Right.
also like a hit or miss, right? If you get it good and it matches the values of your brand, whatever that service project is, then it can be good and positive. They've done research. This isn't like what we were planning on talking about, but it's interesting stuff.
Right,
So,
right.
so they've done research on, for instance, a Rolex doing this type of corporate social responsibility thing is actually negative. If customers see a company like Rolex doing these type of things, it decreases their desire to purchase the product
Really?
because people, it's again the why. Why do people
Yeah,
buy
why?
a Rolex? and it's about this prestige. It's about this. It's more. What's the?
Is it like selfish,
like a status.
self-indulgent?
It's
kind of thing?
indulgence. Yeah, it's kind of those things, right? When
Yikes.
corporate social responsibility
Uh-huh.
is very outward and helping those kind of that are in need of help and doing that good, and those values butt heads. They're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Gotcha.
And so you got to be careful there as well. I mean, it's not to say that customers that purchase Rolex, like all of them have those. That's the main values that drive their everyday life. But that's oftentimes one of the main things that customers go to when they purchase a Rolex. So
interesting.
But service culture. That would be a great way to maybe build service culture in your company.
Okay.
Service culture is about building a culture where it's all about serving the customer, right? And you're trying to provide just make that a focus for all of your employees.
Okay.
That they're trying to create the best possible experience through service for the customers, right?
Okay.
And I was looking around to see kind of what people suggested of ways to build this type of service culture, and not all of them kind of hit the mark, because I feel like if you're going to build this type of service culture, you need to actually have that culture within your company, not just looking outward to the customer, but to your employees.
It has to come from the inside out.
It has to come,
real value.
It has to be real, right?
Might I say like it like
Authentic.
yeah, like and coming from leaders, coming from kind of the upper management needs to kind of have this mentality of how they can serve their employees, right? And then it should in theory transfer to the employees serving the customer.
Yeah, exactly. And so that kind of builds what we were thinking about is how do we create that type of culture within a company? Not necessarily, yes, I feel like if you can create that among your colleagues in an organization, then it should be easy to have them then, okay, this is what's important to us. And we want you to also have that amount of care for your customers. So
right.
It has to come within at first. And so the question is like how do we build that service culture, employee service culture, I guess, this authentic, and so there may be tons of different ways to do that. But for whatever reason, a while back I became really interested with this secret service. I guess a better way to say that would be authentic service, because every time I'm like, oh, a secret service, people are like, oh, like the FBI? Like, what do you?
Sneaky service.
So it's I didn't say authentic service, did I?
You did.
I did not mean authentic service. I meant what's the word?
Something that starts with an A.
Yes, it starts with an A. It's in secret.
It's anonymous.
Anonymous service. That's what I meant to say.
Anonymous service. That makes sense. So instead of because secret service.
Like authentic service.
I was like, you want to keep it authentic.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, but that kind of lends to, if it's anonymous, is it more authentic? I think it is,
maybe,
probably, right?
It's a good thought.
So it started with this question. Okay, if you're going to serve an employee, is it better to do that anonymously, or to have them actually know who came from, right? So that's my first question. What do you guys think? And Weston, I think I kind of at one point talked to you about the results, and it's not what I said to you before.
Okay.
So
I just deleted that from my brain.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. So what do you think? What is it better? So and what I mean by better at building a culture. So so inspiring others to pay it forward and to do that service within your company. That's what we want, right?
Right.
We don't want them just to feel, oh wow, that's really cool.
I feel great.
Like I feel great, but we want them we want to inspire that culture, right? So
Right.
so that's what we're shooting for. So with that in mind, what do you think? What does your gut tell you with
I'm gonna say anonymous.
anonymous?
That's my gut. Because I feel like if you know who it is, especially if it's a boss or somebody, it's like, okay, are you just doing that because I need to be appreciated, or are you doing it
You
because
start
someone
maybe.
told you to?
Yeah.
And maybe that's just me. Like,
You start like.
why did you do that?
Yeah, trying to guess at like, okay, what are you saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you sending me a message with this kind gesture?
Right.
If and as one thing I just thought of, I'm mumbling all over. But if for those live, if you have guesses, like go ahead and chime in too.
Let us know in the comments.
I'll explain as you're going through this, and then you guys just want to kind of keep track. And
I'm gonna.
go ahead.
Yeah. You guys keep track. We'll come back to it in just a few minutes. I'm gonna go on the opposite side, and I'm gonna say that it's better to say who it is, who it's from, to say that it's from you or whoever, because my initial thought is because and it's kind of delving into the side of kind of our human nature that's not so admirable, a little bit self-serving.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see a kind gesture done, like, hey, someone did this service for you and they told you who it was, and you're like, wow, that's really cool of them. And then you think like, oh, that's kind of an expectation. They did something really good, so I want to do something really good so that people will feel the same about me. So not like the most admirable, but still kind of promotes the service culture. I don't know. That's my initial instinct.
So for Valentine's Day, we did a campaign. Well, we're doing a campaign. We had people in the business school submit compliments or thank you notes to their colleagues in the business school. And it was an anonymous culture survey. And I have about 200 responses, and some put their name at the end, and some didn't. So this makes me really curious to see
exactly
how that's gonna play out, and wonder why some did and why some didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting, right? And I've thought about this question for a while.
Should we see? There's the comment. What do we think?
I have a couple people thinking it would be anonymous.
Thinking it would be anonymous.
Knick-knack paddywhack says, I would think that if you don't know who it is, it could be anyone and feel warmer toward everyone.
So,
that's a good
let
point.
me repeat this so we have it recorded. Knick-knack paddywhack says,
I would think that if you don't know who it is, it could be anyone.
I would think that if you don't know who it is, it could be anyone.
And feel warmer towards everyone.
And then you feel warmer towards everyone. Okay,
Instead of specific people or not specific. Like, it wasn't you, but it was you.
Yeah, interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
Cool.
So now I'm trying to.
Did we have any others? Or we'll just move on if we don't. Okay.
Having some technical difficulties. Okay, here we go. It's normal just to start out a little song when you have technical difficulties, right?
Technical
Yes.
difficulties.
I got technical difficulties. Okay, so we ran a study, and to kind of get our first jab at this to kind of see what was going on, and we so like our normal thing, participants came onto this study, and they answered the survey. But we randomly put them into one of two groups. Okay.
I thought we did 3. I thought you did
This is the first one.
the first
jab.
First.
So the first jab, they were randomly put into two groups, and they in both situations they were given a letter. Sorry, they came to their desk at work, and they saw a letter, and at their desk, and the letter said, Hey, I've been impressed by your work around the office. Not only do you work extremely hard, but I've noticed how kind you are to everyone you work with. Thank you thank you so much for always bringing a positive attitude to work. I really appreciate all you do. Okay,
It's a nice
and
note.
it's a nice, and it either said so. This is after that is kind of where we put them in these one of two groups. Okay, one group, the anonymous group, or the Secret Service group,
Okay.
I like to say, just said it was just a friend was how it was addressed at the end. And then in the other condition it said Taylor Reed. Why we used that name, I don't know.
I don't know.
Good name.
But kind of like, hey, it could
Just
be
an office name.
could be male or female. I don't know. Like so.
Yeah.
So anyway, we so that was a case. That was the setup, and we asked different questions about their loyalty to the company, and different things about the likelihood that they pay it forward and write somebody else a note.
Right.
And what we found in this case was not a whole lot
Okay.
with this first jab.
Wasn't very.
It was like marginally significant as our
Okay.
kind of like, and it was on one thing, and it was the likelihood that they would pay it forward,
Okay.
that they would write letters to other people, and it was more likely for those in the anonymous condition to do that.
Okay.
But we
But
were
barely.
but yeah, it was marginally significant. Yeah. So, and so what we were wondering is, okay, why didn't this work?
Okay.
like it was close. What do we need to do? What is it that we're not quite understanding,
Mhm.
right? And so we started looking at the note. I have a question for you guys. Who does this sound like? Who wrote this note? Who's this Taylor Reed? I've been impressed by your work around the office. Not only do you work extremely hard, but I've noticed how kind you are to everyone. Thank you so much for always bringing a positive attitude to work. I really appreciate all that you do.
Sounds like a supervisor.
Yeah.
It sounds like a supervisor.
I was gonna say, it sounds like
Someone-
someone, some
Well,
superior.
Yep.
So that was not our intention to make
Okay.
it a supervisor, but after we looked at this, we're like, that sounds like a supervisor.
Yep.
And then we started wonder, wait, is there a difference here if it's a colleague versus a supervisor writing your note
Yeah.
versus something completely anonymous,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And that led to our next study
Okay.
where Weston, you said there were three groups.
3 groups.
That was this one, and that note was so messy. We're like, man, how do we get it not to sound like a supervisor? Because I think that's what people are normally going to think.
Yeah.
And so we simplified. We simplified for this next one. For this next one, all that happens. Same setup. They work for this company. And we used our Hawk management company.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how we got on Hawk, but we got on Hawk management. Quentin Hawk, the
That's where it came
book
from.
series. And
We've
so
just had that, Rachel. We've had that as like a theme for some of our studies. Like if we have to
Okay.
mock up a certain graphic or something, or a logo or something, it's always with this theme of Hawk. Like the
Okay.
name is
Great.
Hawk. I don't know. It's
None
just
of
that's
this.
just how it happened.
Okay. So if you're ever taking a survey and it's for a company called Hawk Management,
It might be us.
chances are it's not Hawk Management and it's Shadûf.
That's right.
You've been Shadûfed.
That's right.
So in this scenario, very similar. They come to their desk. Instead, instead of that long note, there's just a
A simple
coffee.
note.
It's a coffee.
And coffee.
We don't drink coffee much at Shadûf, but it's a
No.
big popular thing. So we
Typical
said,
office setting.
typical office setting. A little coffee with some crackers. Picture that, and a note that just says "Cheers." Okay.
Okay.
Then we had 3 groups.
Okay.
The first group
So
was
it's all the same up until now.
yeah, and people again randomly put into one of these groups. The first group, we just said you have no idea who gave you this.
Just says cheers.
Just says cheers. And in the other group, it was Taylor Reed. Again, they put Taylor Reed, but this time we explained Taylor Reed is one of your colleagues in the department.
Okay.
Okay. And then in the other group, Taylor Reed again, but we said Taylor Reed is your manager.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
And then we measured some of these the same measures as before. So, do we want to take now that those are the three groups? What do you think? Now we're dealing with a manager, we're dealing with a colleague,
And an anonymous.
and an anonymous.
Something.
What am I guessing? What are we saying?
Which one's going to be best at getting people to want to pay it forward?
I'm gonna guess colleague.
Yeah, why colleague?
Because I think when you're on the same or similar playing field, it's like, it feels more appreciative. Like, oh, you do see what I do, and you're not the one measuring it and following up.
And you did something
see it.
nice for me, and maybe as a colleague, they're at like a similar pay range, perhaps
Yeah.
more similar than a manager.
Right.
And then it would seem like more of a sacrifice, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'm going to agree with you. And anonymous, that might just seem weird. Like, honestly,
Could be the
and
janitor who like left it in there when he
Do I
joined
have a
your
secret
office.
crush?
Like that kind of
This may
takes
be-
it back to junior high. Like,
Yeah.
oh, who was it?
this may be self-deprecating to me, but I'd be like, is this a mistake? Did someone leave this as a mistake on my desk?
Who's-
Like,
who's true?
no one did this on purpose, right?
And at the bottom of the note is, do you like me?
Yes
you
or
like-
no?
Your secret admirer.
Did any guesses on there? Fine. Just kidding. So
Which of those three do any of you think would be more likely to create a culture in which someone would pay it forward?
Yeah.
So let us know. We'll keep
let's
going.
know. Okay, so these were the results. So turns out that you both were correct.
Woo.
It's colleague, right? So the biggest difference that's interesting is colleague versus manager.
Okay.
Okay.
The anonymous was just somewhere in between.
Okay.
Sometimes it really differed from one of the others. Sometimes it didn't, just depending on the
See, I thought it
measure.
would drop. I thought
Um,
some people would think it's poisoned or something.
it's pleasant, yeah. Well, it's interesting though that it was always kind of, it was always kind of above the manager, not quite significantly, but that was like
Yeah.
a consistent pattern.
Interesting.
Cool.
But yeah, so when we look at colleague though, that I lost the page I was on. So here we are. So that increased. That's not what I wanted. Oh yeah. Okay. So one of the cool questions was, how many drinks or coffees do you plan to put on other people's desks like throughout the year?
Okay.
So that was really capturing like their pay it forward, and the colleague versus manager increased the amount of drinks that they would put on people's desks by 83%.
Wow.
So it was this big
The
difference. The colleague, yeah,
83 increased.
increase.
83% more likely than the manager.
They would put 83% more drinks out throughout the department
Than the people who were
Than-
given the drink.
than
by
the people that
manager.
were given the drink by the
Man,
manager.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Do
cool.
people just hate managers and like?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Why. So
Or-
I have some
Like,
assumptions.
basic-
What do you think, Rachel?
Maybe it's a little more intimidating to like take a drink to your manager and it's like you're playing teacher's pet. Like, oh,
Yeah.
here's a drink.
So it's not.
Sorry, my project's late.
Yeah,
Something
but
like
they-
that.
but it's not taking it to the manager. It's just taking it through the department. Is the question. So it's not. It doesn't have to be the manager. It can
Okay.
be anyone. Right?
Okay.
It's
Like,
just
who would you
it's
give
just
a
how
drink
likely-
to? Like
okay.
your
Yeah.
colleague or
Yeah.
yeah.
like you got one from your manager. I wonder if that's the reason why. I wonder if it sets a precedence that says, oh, my manager gave this to me. I don't necessarily like. I'm not necessarily going to connect the line to me doing some sort of service to a colleague because this came from a manager to a subordinate.
Yeah.
And so maybe, I don't know, maybe we should test and see if they have someone under them and then ask how likely would you be to put coffee out to or to give coffee to someone that you are in charge of or that you
Yeah.
oversee.
Yeah, so if that manager's setting that precedent,
Mm-hmm.
if you as a manager yourself, is that going to impact the likelihood that you then, to your subordinates, I hate that word, but to those that you lead, right? Is that going to impact that? That would be an interesting question.
Yeah.
You know, I to me, I kind of wonder if the manager giving something like this is expected in a way, like we're kind of
Yeah.
entitled to this, like oh, they're doing their job
Interesting.
as a manager.
By
Uh-huh.
supporting me and
Great job. That's awesome. You're a good manager.
So it doesn't.
And
quite-
I've kind of received my reward for working hard,
Yeah.
and that's great. And it ends there.
But it's
Right.
much less expected from a colleague.
Yes.
Yep.
From a colleague, it's wow. This is unexpected.
Mm.
And now it makes me want to do good and want to, and want to pay it forward.
I have one other thought.
Yeah.
I wonder, and here again, I seem to have like more dismal thoughts, but I wonder.
So should we skip that?
Take it
Let's
out.
maybe just not go to the start. No, that's not too bad. I wonder though if the people taking the survey and it comes across and it says this comes from your manager, if people's perception of their current situation and their current job, if they have a manager that they hate, then they're going to kind of perceive this as something negative, like, cool, thanks, I still hate you.
Yeah.
From their manager in
Yeah.
their world.
So maybe,
Yeah.
and I mean, how many people hate their boss? You know, like there's a lot out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's I would dare say that's the majority.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to hate your boss, you know, and sometimes it's deserved. I don't know. Like,
And maybe they think that gift is less authentic.
Yeah.
Because it's coming from a leader position,
Or a
and
strong
they're
And-
obligated to do that.
but if they typically have a negative view of
Yeah.
of their superiors, then they're not going to think that that's a nice gesture. They're going to think like, and
what
here's
do you
a-
want?
just tagging
Right,
tagging on the
right.
thought like maybe they think that they should deserve more, like if you're thinking like, oh, I'm working so hard I deserve a raise, and then someone gives you a little cup of coffee and they're like, here, this is to show how great of an
What's
employee
this?
you
Yeah,
are.
you're
Like,
like, seriously?
cool, thanks.
Yeah.
I'd like to feed my family, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. So I want to capture some of these measures,
Yeah.
figure out more of the
Go a little
why
deeper.
behind here. But yeah, I think that it could lead to some really cool ways to implement,
Mhm.
something like this. I know that there's different platforms that, and kind of like what we did here at the business school, right?
Yeah.
Different ways to say thank you to colleagues and things.
And what's interesting, I'm just thinking about those responses. I've been breathing over them a little bit, but most of them are from colleagues to someone above them, to
Oh.
someone who has helped them with the project or gotten them something or helped get a course, whatever they call it.
Yeah, flip
So-
that too.
It's
Mm.
mostly a faculty member thanking someone in the dean's office or their department chair
Mm.
for the work that they have helped them do, which is another interesting plan, and it kind of goes backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah,
can have the
that's
data
really
if you want.
interesting. True.
It's been interesting to, and they don't have names attached,
Hey,
so
could
I
we
only
analyze
know
that data?
I only know the ones who wrote their
Yes.
names, who it's going
Oh.
to, because most of them are anonymous.
Mm.
But some of them put their faculty name to someone in the dean's office, and I can connect that. But it's been
Yeah.
interesting. Or the messages,
Yeah.
you can tell, thank you for helping me get so and so, or thank you for helping me hire this person. And then,
Really?
It'd
Yeah,
be
it's
interesting to. I don't know if we can get permission to do this, but yeah, it'd be interesting to send a survey to everyone that received a thank you and ask them about the experience. And,
That would be
and then
cool.
being able to break it down and be like, oh, this person received an anonymous.
Yeah.
This person received it from someone that they lead,
Yeah.
or this is from someone, one of their leaders. Like, see, there may not be enough in some of those groups, and we may not get permission, but that would be
We'll
a
have to
fun
look
way
into
to
that.
test it out,
Yeah.
right?
That's cool.
That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
We do have some questions if you
Okay,
guys
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right. So
So
another
we're
one.
gonna go to some questions here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just-
gotta say it.
Just saying it into the microphone, that's all.
Okay, so another one from Knickknack Paddywhack is asking do you think companies should train employees on showing appreciation toward coworkers, or would that also make it an expectation?
In a different position I had, we read a book called The Languages of Appreciation.
Okay.
Very similar to Love Languages, but it's the workplace version. And I don't know if training would be a good idea, but kind of like saying, here's this information, you can use it if you want, was really helpful. Because I think if you can understand how people want to be appreciated, then you can understand how to work with and around them. So that was it was kind of a training. Yeah, we were all there expected to learn and to read it.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Yeah, does it
Interesting.
and does a program is that kind of if it's entitlement kind of this like no, a manager's supposed to thank me,
Yeah.
and you create a system that helps colleagues express appreciation to one another, is that entitlement going to sneak in? Like, why isn't anyone thanking me?
Yeah.
You know, now all of a sudden I'm expecting people to thank
Yeah.
me, and you know,
Yeah, that would be that'd be rough. Or
This is complicated.
or then what about comparison? Like no matter what, like, and we've talked about comparison in a lot of our other studies. But if you get a thank you, but your colleague gets
A lunch.
7 thank yous,
Yeah.
you know,
yeah.
And it
kinda
kind
like
of did do that.
Valentine's, you know,
Yeah,
it's
like
kinda
you
like,
got
oh, your
this.
friend got 7,
Yeah.
you know.
And I worked
Valentine's.
closely with this group of people, and I noticed when I did something big, people would leave me notes because they know I like words of affirmation.
Mm.
And they took note, but it was also like, okay, are you just doing this because we talked about this in that meeting last week, or are you doing it because I actually did a good job at my project? So
But so okay, but in that case,
But they were probably your leaders, right?
yeah, some were
Yeah.
people, colleagues.
But in that case, now I'm thinking like our question here, what, you know, should we do trainings? Maybe at that point, maybe a training would kind of, I don't know really how to put this into words, but kind of like level the playing field. It's like saying like, no, this is an expectation just because, you know, like we want to create this culture. Like being straightforward and saying we want to create this culture. And maybe in your trainings you can kind of combat like some of those like now don't be discouraged if you don't get, you know,
Yeah.
thank yous right away or something, you know, something right away, but just, you know, just kind of be aware we want all of our employees to be looking outward and not inward, you know what I'm saying? So maybe a training would be good, just to set a precedent and just to say like, hey, this is what we want is our goal.
And I think having that as a tool helps because the book also talked about if you try to appreciate someone in the wrong way, it feels ingenuine. Like, oh, you just gave me a cup of coffee and I didn't get something else because it's not how they feel
Like,
appreciated.
care about money, dang it.
Yeah. So yeah, if there's different ways to go about it, which is interesting
Yeah.
for different people too. It's individual.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, again, this is getting complicated like pretty fast.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many different angles to look at this. I think like one thing that we could probably say we could get from this initial study at least is if as a leader, if you are aware of people doing good things for other people, like you should somehow, even if it's just like on a one-on-one thing, like, oh, you should thank that person, here, I can even like help you get this like little gift or whatever, like I know this person likes this, why don't you like, pass that along, or I don't know, just kind of try to plant that in the minds, if it's not like a huge meeting,
Yeah.
because I don't know how that would work out, but at least just kind of, first of all, be the example of service, and then kind of plant that in the minds of others, like, oh, you should
incept them, go into their dreams, and and plant the idea that they need to
as if
show.
it was their own idea.
Yeah, so that they think that's their idea.
Easy solution.
Easy.
Or just hand them your card and say, go get a drink for this person because I know they like that and it's from you, but out of my
I guess you could do
account.
that. Yeah.
Or the dream thing, whatever.
Or whichever one. I don't know.
Whatever's easiest.
That's awesome.
Now I'm gonna
Did
try
we-
to. Yeah, go ahead.
Did we have any other questions?
There was one more if you guys
Okay.
want to keep
Yep.
going.
Let's do one more.
Mexican Badger asks, or says rather, say you do receive an anonymous praise, come to find out everyone received the same message.
Mhm.
How would that affect the way you receive the message?
Yeah.
I'm
hate
initially
that.
gonna say, wow, that's a sinking feeling. Wow.
Yeah, I mean the major thing here is like authenticity. I'm guessing is that's going to be like a big part of this why. that we-
Sorry, let me just repeat that question. The question was,
Say you do receive an anonymous praise and come to find out everyone received
Okay.
the same message.
say you received this anonymous praise, but then come to find out that everyone has received the same message.
How would that affect
Yeah.
the way you receive the message?
How would that affect the way you receive the message? And I would say that would be instinctively. I would say like, oh, that would be kind of a sinking feeling.
Yeah, that kills the authenticity.
Okay, but how about just thinking about applying this in my project that I'm doing? What if nobody wrote Dustin a thank you note for this Valentine's thing?
Just
Do we just
tell me
leave
right
it?
now. Nobody wrote me a note.
I think they actually did, Dustin.
Just laugh.
I can't tell you right now, but I think they did. Or do you make one up so they have something?
Make one up. I love that. Just your parents are in charge of like if you don't get one, they're like, here's a cute little
We love
message.
you.
Just
Yeah,
like
'cause I
a
think it-
generic note for everybody.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
ingenuine though if you get the same one.
Because there's probably, I'm guessing, like a decent proportion of people that didn't get one in this case.
And a lot of the same people who got one.
Can I tell a story that has just popped in my head?
Yes.
We may cut this out of the final podcast, but here it goes. This is
Welcome for the ride, those who are joining us live.
this is really sad.
Special edition.
This is really sad. It was back in it was in 8th grade. I was in 8th grade, and I just thought I was so funny. For yearbook signing, we were signing yearbooks, and everyone is in this big gymnasium. And everyone's just going around signing yearbook signings. It's a yearbook signing. I thought I was so funny, and I just I wrote call me and my phone number in everyone's yearbook. Okay? As if it's as if I was hot stuff or something. Like everyone wanted to give me a call or something. And I just thought it was funny, and it didn't matter who it was. So much so there was a girl that not many people liked. I liked her. I had no problem with her, and I wanted to be objective, and so I was like, call me, and I wrote my number in it. Okay, so weirdly enough, after that, I go up on these bleachers, writing or signing, trading yearbooks, and I look down, and I see this girl with a smile on her face, and she's clutching her yearbook. And so I'm like, oh shoot, did I do something really bad? She goes over to her friend, and I see her showing her the yearbook, and then her friend rolls her eyes and opens her yearbook and shows her my same signature in her yearbook that says call me and then my number. And it was just, she was crushed. I felt so bad. Here I was trying to say hey, I have no problem. Everyone's equal to get my stupid message, right?
Yeah.
And then I made her
That's
feel
so
bad
funny.
because she
That's
got the
awesome.
same message as her friend, and that was kind of the similar situation. And I think it's defeating.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad for admitting that. So
Yeah, I feel like I'd be careful. So those who aren't receiving one, I wouldn't send them a generic one, right? You're gonna have a hard time thanking somebody in a unique way, or in a way that they're like, oh yeah, this is really talking about me.
Yeah,
Right.
because you don't know
'Cause
that.
you don't know.
Yep.
Hey, thanks for working here. You're great. And
Yeah.
they're like, does this person even know me?
Yeah.
Right. Especially if they showed their book to,
Right.
to the person next to them.
And
And
they're
then,
like, oh, well, I got
seven.
that same thing too. And be like,
Yep.
oh,
So I think it's probably
you're special, just like everybody else.
So if there's people that are willing to devote the time to really think about why they're thankful for a person or what they like about a person, and they take that time to write those notes, then yeah, that might be cool. But that's a lot of time in
Yeah.
big organizations, right?
Right.
Right. So that's why I think it's important, like you said, we've got to find a way to find the easiest way to promote everybody just doing it. Because then if it's a shared thing, if you're just promoting the culture, then it's not just the responsibility of a few, but everyone kind of is sharing and trading back and forth.
Yeah, and it's not ingenuine or because
That's the
someone
goal.
said so. Right, because everybody's doing it. It's a culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's a tall order, but
Secretly get people in each department to write notes to people that didn't get them. Like, I don't know. Maybe, you know.
yeah.
Might be calling you next week.
Oh,
Just kidding.
quite right.
Well, that's awesome. This has been an awesome topic, and it sounds like we've got some cool places to go. So maybe we'll do a follow up in the future. But that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you for joining us live. This has been awesome, and join us next time on the Shadûf podcast.